Welcome back, one and all, to A Stoic Plays, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this time around I'm going to be stoically playing The Last Federation by Arkan Games. The Last Federation is a space game, and on looking at the screenshots, you might be tricked into thinking that it's a space combat game. And while combat does play a role in it, I like to compare it myself to games like Crusader Kings and Europa Universalis because it's really a political simulator, and I'll go more into details on that in a moment. Arkan Games, you may know of, at least how I know of them, is they put out some games that were pretty popular known as AI War Fleet Command and A Valley Without Wind, both very different kinds of games. And what's unique about this company is that they make games of all different genres and styles, but the one thing that ties them all together is they're based on 2D graphics. Now, while a cynical person might say that the rationale for that is that 2D graphics are easier to implement and program than 3D graphics, I don't believe that to be the case because the graphics in these games actually are quite beautiful, and it's obvious that a lot of effort and work has been put into them. So I think it's more just a stylistic decision, and I think why not? If the games are fun to play, however you want to display them is fine, and these games are really fun to play. Now, The Last Federation just came out with its second DLC packet called The Lost Technologies, you can see up here in the top right, which adds a bunch of new features to the game. I actually have been aware of this game for quite a while, and I've always kind of wanted to play it, but my plate is always full. My game cup runneth over. But Arkan was kind enough to offer me a review copy, so I took that as an excuse to fire up the game and give it a plunge, and I really, really enjoy it. Again, it's super, super deep, much more than you would necessarily think upon looking at the surface. So we're going to go and we are going to get into it. I'm not really sure what an advanced start is. I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to go ahead and just go with the quick start. Normal. And even though the DLC that just came out is The Lost Technologies, I'm going to go with the standard Federation formation goal rather than the tech race goal. Alright, so this is the part where the game introduces a story to you. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce it to you myself more quickly. You are the last surviving member of an ancient race of high technology known as the Hydrals. And for the longest time, you kept the solar system that you live in down. You were the only ones who had spaceflight, and anytime another race, and there are many in the solar system, try to get into space, you stop them with your superior technology. However, one day, two of these races manage somehow to destroy your world by throwing a moon at it, something that you were not prepared for, and so the entire race of Hydrals, who all apparently, except for you, were on the planet, are gone, and you are the last Hydral. Now, instead of seeking revenge or wanting to dominate the universe, your goal as the last Hydral is to convince all of these other races to get along, to work together, and form a federation of peace throughout the universe. And the purpose of this game is to do that. You are basically one guy, or Hydral, flying around in a ship, trying to increase your influence with all these different alien peoples, and eventually broker that influence toward getting them all into a federation. And the complexity comes from the fact that it can be done in many, many different ways. There are some races that are benign and what you would considerably call good, and there are races that are, on the other hand, very evil and warlike. So you may decide, for example, to ally yourself with the evil warlike races and subjugate the other ones, or you could do the opposite and maybe just try to defeat or wipe out the aggressive races and form a federation with the peaceful ones. It doesn't matter at the end of the day if your federation is all the races or just one surviving race. At the end, you're just looking for universal peace, or solar system peace. And the amount of options that you have to explore in doing this are huge. So, as the last Hydral, you crash landed on this planet and they captured you, but because you were peaceful and they had no idea your strength, they let you be in confinement for many years until this particular race developed their own spaceflight. As soon as they did so, you stole their high-tech flagship and are off into the solar system to put your dreams of a unified Federation to the test. And I guess it's always the Acutians, because I've played this 3 times now, and each time it's been the Acutians. And each race is a little bit different. We'll get into it, but the Acutians are like a robotic race of businessmen. They have mechanical CEOs, and they're all about acquisitions and mergers, and they are dangerous and immoral. Alright, so here's the main combat screen, and it's pretty simple, but what you do is you move your ship in a turn-based way. So this line here represents how far you can travel in a turn. And that is not fixed. You can actually manipulate 3 aspects of your ship: weapons, shields, and speed. And you can add more power or less power to each one in order to boost that respective attribute. So that's that. This first battle is basically just a gimme. There is this tutorial that I am not aware how to shut down, unfortunately. But that's okay, we'll just go with it. So combat gets a little hectic. In the early parts, you're completely outclassing your enemies, but the battles get a bit hairier more lately. What I've noticed is that it's usually best to focus on one enemy ship and try to take care of it at a time. Sometimes I almost feel like the combat gets in the way of the politics of it all. This is just more tutorial. Yet they're unlocking the systems one at a time. See, now I have my systems, so I could add, for example, more power to weapons at the expense of shields or speed. Right mouse click lowers it, left mouse click raises it. The game is also semi-intelligent and will adjust your settings on its own. For example, if you slow down or stop, it will automatically take energy away from power and spread it out amongst the weapons and the shields. If you are not firing for one reason or another, it will remove the strength from the weapons, and so on. Now, I'm just having it set on auto-fire, but you can, if you choose, target a specific enemy, and I probably should. That would probably be the intelligent thing to do. The way this tutorial works, however, and I guess it happens every single game you start, is that they slowly give you your systems one at a time. So, you see here shield damage. Every turn you take an amount of shield damage. You can see down in the bottom left, I have to hold the mouse over the ship, that you have a hull value and a shield value. And once your shields run out, obviously you start taking damage to your hull. And you die if you run out of hull value. And I'm pretty sure, at least in the 2 games that I've played so far, that both of them recharge at the end of each battle. So we were victorious. So, at the end of every battle, you get a list of things that happened in the battle, and also, the most important is the influence. How your actions are felt by the different races in the game. Okay, so now we're at the solar map. So this is the solar system that these different races come from. It's quite a busy solar system. And it looks like each time it is changed, because this is not how it looked the last 2 times. So this is the Hydral homeworld that has been destroyed. It is currently being managed by the Acutians. The Acutians are the only ones who have 2 worlds. They are there, and they start off hating you, I guess in every game, because you escape from them. So as you can see here, everyone pretty much hates me. They're all at the negative. And so the main goal first is to get all these different races to like you, or at least pick a couple. So the first step here is that very few of these guys are actually spacefaring. As you can see, these guys are not yet spacefaring. Not yet spacefaring. So you have an option. You could, for a huge boost of influence with the particular race, give them spacefaring technology. And I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be doing that because I want the good races to have the edge to start off with. Now, the Andor are a really good race. The Evox are actually the ones who blew up your planet, along with the help of the Acutians. The Skylaxians are like the neutral, diplomatic-y race. I think the Burlust are like the warlike race. This is a hive mind race, the Peltians. And the Thoraxians. I don't remember who the Thoraxians are and what they... Let's see, racial power grid. So right now, nobody but the Acutians are spacefaring, but we're going to change that. Let's first go to the Andor. Okay, so you can notice here, you can choose things to do. You can get details on the planet and their situation. And you can do a friendly act. In this case, the friendly act would be to give spacefaring technology to these gentle Andorians. So what this is doing is explaining the system of the game. You have two areas that you have to watch: your amount of credit with a race and influence. I'm sorry, credit is money, but it's not really money. In this game, it represents just the sway and pull you have with the nation, and you can spend it or not spend it. Influence is kind of a similar thing, but you can think of credit as money. And so we're going to deliver spacefaring tech, and we gain a ton of credit, and they're going to like us a bunch. The problem is, the Arcturans, or that's not their name, but the other group, the robot people, they don't want these guys to have spacefaring tech. So they have these probes here, and the more races that have spacefaring tech, the more probes there are. So as you give spacefaring tech to the second or third race, there will be more probes. And what these probes do is they shoot out tracer bullets. And if they catch you, if one of these tracer bullets hit you, the race will know that you are trying to deliver space tech, and they will dislike you more for doing it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put all energy to engines so we can move as fast as possible. And the goal, as you can see on the mini-map, there's these light greens and the dark green. You need to get to the dark green without getting hit by these tracer bullets. Which actually is quite difficult, if not impossible, in this instance. Well, maybe. I think we might just make it. And we did.
The Andors are now spacefaring. Their benevolent nature may make them a source of help.
Thank you. So she's telling me, the computer's telling me that the Andors are now spacefaring and that they are benevolent. They're the good guys. So we gained a ton of credit with them, and we went from neutral to light.
The Peltians are now spacefaring. They are soft and weak. However, they have a penchant for blowing things up from orbit. They may be easy allies to win over.
So the Peltians just gained spaceflight technology on their own. So I need to find my second group. I'm trying to remember from the first game which ones are the good guys. I guess the Skylaxians are okay. Let's see. I'm just trying to find, like, information about these races. Ah, here we go. So the computer advisor suggests the top 3 to be that are not in the Federation, and the top 3 powers outside the Federation. Right now, nobody's in the Federation, so... And as you can see, there's a lot of numbers. Many of them I don't fully understand myself, but it's all part of the depth and complexity of what you're trying to do here. So we are on good terms with the Andor. Let's see if we can do any friendly acts for them. So we can hire a diplomat, which basically just allows them to give us missions, which we definitely want to do, for 10 credits. We can do a joint mission where we work together with them to, in this case, destroy a pirate base. That will give us some money and influence. we have paid dispatches where they pay us to do certain things for them. In this case, we assist them with creating a fleet, and you can do this for as long as you want, and the longer you do it, the more money and influence you get. However, it also prevents you from doing other things. Now, an expense dispatch is the opposite. You pay the race for something. In this case, you would pay them to improve their relations with another race. And you can also hire construction workers or scientists to help with tech exploration. And there's a whole ton more of these things that we'll find out about later. But first, are the Thoraxians? Maybe the Thoraxians are the hive mind. They were just in this shaped planet the last time, but I think the planet shapes are variable. And I love how in the bottom they have these. I never have a chance to read them, but they have these tweets, basically, like Twitter posts by these different races, or people of these different races, about what's going on in the world. Still trying to find out information on these different races. I guess you just figure it out by playing. Okay, so the Andor I know are good. Let's go to the Thoraxians. Okay. We'll deliver some spacefaring tech to them as well. It doesn't really tell us much about them. Okay. So as you can see, things have just gotten a bit worse. There's a ton more probes. There's not just the Acurian probes, but there's also the Peltian probes and the Andor probes. This is going to be pretty hard. And the way they're set up right now is not looking good for me. We'll do the best we can. Alright, so the Andor pretty much like me, so I can suffer a bit of a negative reputation with them. And I'm gonna have to.
The Thoraxians are now spacefaring. Searching dictionary for a phrase more urgent than extreme danger. Done. Imminent doom is today's advisory.
Okay, so the computer was not thrilled with my giving the hive mind spaceflight technology. And the computer, by the way, is hilarious. She's adorable. And it's one of the little fun touches of the game. So now they've unlocked the tech tree for us. Well, that's good. This is all, again, just exposition, how to do things tutorial. But I'd rather show you more of the game than go through all that. And again, I'm sure there's a way to turn it off. I'm just too stupid to know what it is. So they have spaceflight. I definitely don't want the Burlusts to have spaceflight just yet. Alright, so these two races here love me. Although the Andor have gone back to neutral with me. So let's try to make their life a bit better. Let's do a friendly act. And let's work with them to destroy a pirate base. Oh, we cannot because they don't like us. Okay, let's go with their... Let's help them build an armada because they're a peaceful race. Their armada is not going to be too big of a threat. So then what you can do is this happens in real time, so you can speed it up. And as you can see, immediately my relations with them are getting better. Let's get it up to, say, 20. Alright. So now abort the mission? Yes. So it'll kind of sum it up for you. I earned 3,300 credits, and they now trust me because we're at 56 influence, which is not what the thing showed. That's weird. But whatever. Okay, so now that they like me, we can help them destroy a pirate base. And I'm sure every game is a bit different, but it is my opinion that helping these guys is the way I want to go because... Oops, I forgot to turn my shields back on. Get good shield and weapon strength at the expense of speed. Okay. These guys are benevolent and gentle in each game, so I would rather they be powerful than one of the more warlike races. So these are the pirate bases, and these are kind of shields guarding them. This is the people that are joining us in the battle. We have Acutian pirates and Andorians, and they are allied with me and at war with each other. You can see them by kind of hovering the mouse over. These guys down here are the Andorians and their little ships. The pirates are up here. So we're just going to move around the pirate bases and shoot at things. And a lot of their bullets are coming from these ships, so we should probably take those out. Alright, so we're currently at, as you can see, our shield is getting worn down quite a bit. We're at 163 out of 342. Whoa, what the heck is that thing? That's their main ship. Alright, I'm down to hull damage. I might have done all this wrong, actually. My buddies here are trying to fight the pirate mothership. I think this may have been premature on my part. Let's see if I can't get out of here and focus. I'm having it so only one ship is shooting at me. We're almost dead, actually. Oh boy. Alright, I think for the moment we're okay. Yeah, we're getting some shield back. Focusing on this one ship. We managed to warp out just in the instant before our ship exploded from all the damage it took, but it has taken us 12 solar months to retreat and make our repairs. Yeah, that was a bad deal. The Andorans were hurt by this, but it doesn't appear that they'd like me any less.
The burlesque warlords are now spacefaring. Extreme caution is advised. They seem likely to take their constant internal wars to the solar stage.
Uh-oh. So the burlests are now spacefaring, and they're the big guys. Okay, so Quest 1. The Skylaxian military has a secret proposal to gain spacefaring tech. So they want us to swoop in and crash one of their flagships into their planet, and they could use their technology to get them into space. They would likely make a very good ally because they are the most suited to their planet out of the remaining races that are not yet spacefaring. So if I win this battle, they will like me a lot, from -20 to 30, and they'll pay me a bunch of money, and the Skylaxians will become spacefaring. If I decide not to do this, they will dislike me slightly. Let's do it. Alright. So here I am with my Skylaxian buddies. And it looks like the burlests are the aggressors that we have to take out. So let's focus on one of them. Oh, this shouldn't be hard at all. They have artillery. And you can zoom in, zoom out in the battle. And he is almost out of shields. We'll have to do another episode of this because you also, once the tutorial section is over, you get access to some special abilities for your ship that are really fun. They let you fire out fighters, or you could convert enemy ships of small and medium size to your side. Alright, so we took out one of them. And I guess we could increase the combat speed a bit. maybe 1.6. Oh yeah, that's better. Just focusing on this guy here. Our shields are almost out. That's amazing. The first time I played this, the first 2 times I played this, I was on easy. So I'm just getting used to the more difficult combat. But we were victorious in this battle. Hurrah! Chip chip churrah.
The Skylaxians are now spacefaring.
Okay.
They are an advanced species and disapprove of your race's past actions. However, they may just be the key to forming a federation, as their powers of persuasion over the other races are non-trivial.
Okay, so they're diplomats. They have good powers of persuasion. They're a bit iffy about me because my race has done horrible things in the past, but because I allowed them to gain spaceflight technology, they now like me. And everything in this game takes place in the frame of solar months, which give you relative time, 13 seconds, I guess, of relative time. My influence against the Burlus has dropped, but very little, just from -20 to -23. We gained a bit of money, not much, and you can kind of see how the battle affected the strengths of the various powers. The Burlus lost 30 base power, 90 effective power, and 1 armada in the fighting. Alright, well, friends, we are out of time, but I will come back and do another episode on this game to kind of show you more of the meat of it, because it really is a lot of fun, and you can get lost in it, because you're thinking, okay, well, how do I get the Skylaxians to like the Andor? And there's also really interesting ways that you can get races to ally with each other. They don't always have to be just simple, do what I say. There's specific groups of races who tend to like each other. They could form certain kinds of alliances. Also, races can ally with each other against you or against the Federation. And then once you do form the Federation, there's like anti-Federation forces within the planets that are part of the Federation. It's incredibly complex. So once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. Thank you so much for watching. Again, this was The Last Federation by Arkan Games. Have a good one.